So I guess on a day-to-day basis, I use the marine environment from an aspect of enjoyment, walking the dog and enjoying the view. There's something very calming about the sound of waves.
The light, the colours, the movement, the weather, the horizon, the skies, the space. I think that more than anything. In terms of using it, well, I use it for that. I walk, I study, I think, I look at the seas around us.
I think I just get a lot of pleasure from just being down at the shore, and there's an immense amount of energy there, and a great beauty too. Just enjoying the sea and the wildlife and the air and the smells and the things that you see as well, and the whole feeling of it, and that's what I take from it.
We're part of the Shorewatch Volunteers, so usually twice a week we go down to the Ness Point in Stromness, and we carry out the survey there. This is an important part of being here. You know, I can't imagine not having that availability.
We walk the dog around the shore in the morning, and it's absolutely fantastic on a summer's day to see the flood tide rolling in. And in that, you have seals, you have the wildlife, there's otters there, the whole lot. What a marvellous resource to have.
I also feel like I'm able to breathe more when I can see the sea, and I think that's probably in part about coming back to Orkney and feeling at home in Orkney, so that I get home, it's just like...
I think the closeness of the sea is important. I think particularly for, I guess, people who move here, live here, you know, there is that, you know, one of the definite reasons why people do come is because of the sea, and it's that kind of unquantifiableness of the sea that you don't really know why you love it or why you can sit looking at it for hours.
The sound of it, or sitting watching just the waves coming in, that is balm for the soul for me, and that is how I get through problems in life.
When I go into the sea, when I'm heading off on a dive, it brings into me a sense of calm, and it's for me like going into a different world, and I find that tremendously relaxing and therapeutic. That matters to me. You know, I find that tremendously important.
And it's quite comforting to know that no matter how rubbish your day's been, the life under the water is still going on, and it's still ticking over, and it's still doing what it was doing the day before.
My whole living comes from the sea, and so therefore I have to do the best I can. Crabs and lobsters, velvet crabs, green crabs, it's all shellfish. And every month of the year throws up difference, and you have to adapt as the year goes on. And I love it. And my whole livelihood comes from the sea, and as long as I can keep doing that, I have no intention of changing.
It's also a resource of energy, both areas of strong tidal and also strong wind resource. We are seeing different devices being put into the water to harness those special resources.
There are so many unique species here, especially marine species. Up by Einhallow, for example, there is a pretty considerable seagrass field, and that is really, really good for trapping CO2, great for the planet, great for the environment, and it's also a environment for fish to live in. In addition to that, we have a pretty healthy population of skate, which are quite critically endangered in other parts of the world. We've got a lot of grey seals here. We tend to harbour quite a few other more exotic species that will visit here or live here. Things like dolphins, milky whales, orcas, walruses, basking sharks even.
You know, when you're standing on the beach and there's this huge expanse of ocean, it can kind of put things in perspective for you, but it can also make you realise that we're all connected because, you know, the fish use the ocean to migrate. So I think it's really important to respect that space.
So that we're balancing the needs of the human community with our wildlife community so that everybody can live and rub along together in harmony as much as possible.
We're bound on this island by the sea and contained by it. That sort of pulls our community together because of that.
Being able to see the sea, it gives you a sort of sense of the place that you live, the shape of the place you live, but also I think the community very much relies on the sea. A lot of our traditions are based around the sea, a lot of our employment's based around the sea.
It is just a constant presence. I think maybe you don't really notice until you go somewhere else and it's not there. It's sort of a comforting, constant presence.
If I could change anything about Orkney's marine environment, it would probably be there's been some work done on using tidal and wave power.
If there was a way we could have boats that were running on different fuel, that would be really interesting.
I really would like to see a lot of research and a lot of money spent by government as well into producing functioning and viable hydrogen engines for things like the ferries here.
Using less fossil fuels in the future, then we need to think hard about new technologies that use natural renewable sources like tidal and wave power and wind power, which it's very successful in Orkney.
I find lots of things about Orkney quite contradictory sometimes, that there is on numerous kind of avenues an outer face which bears no relation to reality. I think Orkney's whole model of being this kind of energy, creating our own energy, whether it be wind energy, solar energy or wave power, that it's this kind of paradise of people living off their own energy, and when it gets down to the bottom on the ground, things are very different. It's a different world.
Lots of different initiatives and sectors are doing things which are quite legitimate within their own aspirations, but we're not seeing the whole and sort of working out what that means cumulatively for what's happening in the marine environment, how the ecosystem's functioning, what it means for some of the other creatures that depend on that environment.
I would like to think Orkney's marine environment is managed quite good. Papi has a marine protected area around it, and I was very glad to see it, and I worked with it. I wouldn't even object to it being a greater, a stricter marine protected area where they could actually limit the fishing on a place in order to preserve and conserve the things that you don't catch. There's not just the things that you do catch and the creatures that's in the seabed.